And even if you notice the skin is translucent. You can see the veins down below. How you doing, guys? If you're new here, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ryan, and on today's episode, we're actually checking out the rest of the grow-out room. We're gonna look at some of the tortoises that Kyle keeps here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get into it.
So first up is a young pair of red foot tortoises. Now if you notice, there are very different coloration between the two. This one is a hypo red foot tortoise, so it's a reduced pigment. Now this one is a regular normal coloration on a red foot tortoise. But the special thing about this guy is it is a het hypo. So what that is it's a simple recessive trait, the hypos, and if these two reproduce, they'll produce 50% hypo animals. So now that you saw the small hypo animal and the het hypo, which is a normal looking animal, let's go check out two larger hypo animals. And these guys are much larger than that little guy, but they are growing really well. And the other guy is hiding his lock. There it is. So again, it's so crazy to think that these tortoises are normally black in coloration, whereas these guys are like a golden animal. But if you think these guys are crazy, let's check out the albino redfoot tortoise here as well. So lastly, on the smaller animals, we have the albino redfoot tortoise. So this one lacks all black pigmentation. So you can see how light colored this animal is, and you even see the red eyes that it has. And even if you notice the skin is translucent. You can see the veins down below. And to give you an example of how light this animal is, let's take him over here and show you the differences between the normal, right here, the hypo, and the albino. So you can even see how there's such a contrast between all three of the animals. And even these two, you can see this one has all the dark pigmentation as a hypo, but this one lacks all that dark pigmentation. So it's a rather similar shell coloration compared to obviously the normal animal, but the skin is really the telltale sign. And the eyes too, if you notice again, the red eyes on the albino and the normal colored eyes on the hypo animal.
Now, how rare are the albinos? Because, I mean, I've never seen one besides the one you have in your collection.
They are incredibly rare. I've only seen a few for sale. The hypos are being produced in the United States now, so you are seeing them more frequently in the pet trade, but the albinos are extremely rare in the United States.
Cool, and what kind of, what's the setup you got going on here?
Yeah, so these are small waterland land tubs. So I just have the bedding here, little flexible log, which is really cool to see because you can actually bend it up. So it's great for when these tortoises are growing. You can open it and push it down so it's lower for the animal, more secure. And once it grows bigger, you can push it together and lift it up, so it's great for them in that regard. Heat light, UVB light, and then this is their water system. So again, it's much like the small crocodilians, that is just an overflow system. So every day it kicks on, flushes this whole system out, and just an overflow right outside. So again, just a very maintenance-free enclosure, other than just pulling the bedding out every so often just to refresh it. The water is self-sustaining. So now that we've seen these smaller animals, let's go check out the bigger animals below. As you can tell, guys, I love redfoot tortoises. Now these guys are all hypo animals, like we talked about before. So these guys are just reduced pigment. Now these guys do so well down here with the redfoots, just because it is a tropical climate. These guys are in here in the winter just because it is rather cold, but they'll be going into the greenhouse in the next several months. So these guys are in a large waterland land tub. And what I mean by land tub is just 1/4 water for 3/4 land. And the beauty of this is they're able to come in here and soak, but every day this gets flushed out because these guys are very messy animals. But I cannot wait for these guys to get outside, enjoy the Florida sunshine, and munch on some grass. This one is a very, very special hypo redfoot tortoise just because the shell is so perfect. Now, a lot of times you see with the morphs, you can get wonky shells, and I don't know what the real cause of that is, but this one is a beautiful, beautiful animal. So smooth, and even the head is such a bright coloration compared to the other hypo redfoots here. And even if you notice the skin, if he'll stick his neck out, there you go, and it's like a marbling to it. Just so beautiful.
Kind of looks like Darth Maul.
It really does. It really does. And the legs like that, the patterning to it is so beautiful. So this guy will actually be joined with the other hypo group just because so he's not alone outside when we do move everyone out. Now these guys have been quarantined for well over a year, so they're definitely healthy and happy and good to go together. So we'll be moving them in the next couple months. So now we have one more group of tortoises to show you guys, and it's not red foot tortoises. Now lastly, we have this group of tortoises here. And these guys are radiated tortoises. This is a critically endangered species. These animals are smuggled in the thousands sometimes out of Madagascar. But they're doing so well here. I mean, I remember I got these guys and they were probably the size of a silver dollar, so they were about that big. So they're really growing really well. So there's 4 of them in here. If we can get all of them out. Now these guys, unlike the red foot tortoises, they're very emotional, very sensitive, and when you mess with them, they like to just shoot back in their house. But let's just check them out real quick, and then we'll leave them be. Come here, buddy. I think this guy's the biggest, but let's see. And as you can see here, the tortoises got a little bit too big for their house. So they are ready to upgrade into the greenhouse in the next few months. So here they are.
And do you happen to know if you've got how many males or females here?
I don't, just because they are a smaller animal. I haven't even bothered to try to check. It's not the most sure way at this age, just because, again, they really haven't developed everything they need to. So, and again, it's with them being such young animals, it's not like I'm gonna produce these guys anytime soon, and they are siblings, so I don't know if there's even a reason to try to produce them as a group. But I would love to kind of split up the group, and as you can see, the house is even too big now. But split it up just to help genetics, just so they're not producing with one another. It's pretty easy to see why these animals are poached so often from the wild. Their coloration, their patterning is so symmetrical, so geometric per se. So they're so beautiful, and even the yellow coloration. So it's obvious to see why someone would want these animals and why people would go through great lengths to smuggle them, just because of their overall value, because these are expensive tortoises in the pet trade. So between that and just their sheer beauty, it makes sense why these guys are so critically endangered. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all the baby tortoises here, but let's go check out the new greenhouse where we can see where these guys will be going in the next few months.
Well, we just got to the new property where the greenhouses are, so we're gonna walk in there and check out a little bit of an update on the tortoise greenhouse, because it looks like they're doing a lot of work in there.
Yeah, they have. They're actually working right now. So what's nice is we can show you where the baby tortoises will be and also the larger enclosures.
Oh wow, looks good in here.
All right, so this is the baby tortoise section. I didn't put sheep pile in the middle just because I want to be able to separate this the way I want it, depending on how many babies I have. So right now it's going to be split into 3 sections. So it'll be about 10 foot by 10 foot enclosures for the young animals, and they'll be sodded and whatnot. They'll have ponds in each one. But the beauty of that is I can pull the dividers out and make this one big enclosure if need be. So this is the area for the baby tortoises. And then, as you can see, we're really coming together with the larger ones.
Wow, they've done a lot of work here even since the last video we put out.
Yeah, since the last video we actually expanded the enclosures a little bit more, because I think they were 28 foot when we looked before, but now they're 31 foot. So this is actually going to be a drainage field right here. And what this will be is, instead of running all this plumbing for the ponds will just drain under here, under the ground, and just filter through that way. But this will also act as a pathway just for viewing. As you can see, they're compacting all the sheet pile, so everything is rock solid. Again, this is written for a Category 5 hurricane, but they're working on our way. So we have, 6 enclosures that are 32 foot by 32 foot, and then we have Crush's enclosure, which is much larger. You can see they're just getting ready to actually bring in topsoil, just because this soil is not the best for growing plants, and obviously with the tortoises, you want the grass to grow as quickly as possible. You want all the plants to thrive. So we're going to be just compacting this for the sheet pile, and then once that's done, we're going to be pulling the dirt out here and putting topsoil, which is much better for the soil, or much better for the plants. All right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed seeing all the baby tortoises at the property and seeing the new facility and the update on the greenhouse.
Yeah, and if you liked today's video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also go check out our new Instagram, Primitive Predators, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you guys.